Hey, good morning. It is Monday, September 23rd. What's going on? Last week, the Fed dropped interest rates by 0.5%. Most people were expecting half that amount. So what does that mean? Well, it means cheaper money to borrow, but that also means more money in the economy, so that might cause more inflation. We'll have to wait and see. Other things is Amy Robach and TJ Holmes, those were the two people on Good Morning America who kind of developed an affair and embarrassed ABC and were let go. I think now they're talking about starting a new news program. And lastly, last week I went to see with my wife the Reagan movie. Wow, that was interesting. A tremendous love affair between Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan, formerly Nancy Davis. And there were lots of bits about history, which I remember a lot of that growing up because I'm of age. Anyway, hey, let's get to today's topic. So let's talk about Ronald Reagan for a minute here. When Ronald Reagan was president from 1980 to 1988, he had some big changes, some huge changes during his administration. First thing was, when he became president, inflation was rampant, high unemployment, and he worked it for 8 years, so much so that for the next decade, America really benefited from that aspect of his presidency. Another thing that was a big change for us was travel. Before Ronald Reagan, airline travel was a little bit expensive. People didn't do it. But he went to war with the air traffic controllers, and the bottom line, he's deregulated the industry, and everybody was all whooped up about that. But now we really travel very cheaply compared to before he was president. While he was president, he picked on Russia a lot. He called them the evil empire, Star Wars. He called out Gorbachev in front of the Berlin Wall. And as a result, probably a lot of people will say almost single-handedly, he brought down the the Soviet Empire. So there's some big changes during Ronald Reagan. Mark, what does that have to do with anything? Well, listen up, because there's some big changes, I think, coming in Medicare. Many of you have got your materials already if you're on these Medicare Advantage plans or on your prescription drug plans. Have you taken the time to read through them? Let's take a look at some of the things that I think you should be aware of, some big changes for 2025. One of the big changes is your prescription drug cards. The out-of-pocket will stop at about $2,000, but also a lot of these drug cards now, you have a deductible before your copay kicks in, so pay attention to that. But on those drug cards, I'm expecting those premiums to probably go up, so pay attention to that. They would like you to move your drug card to a Medicare Advantage plan. Oh no! Yes, okay, because you're paying a premium for the drug card, and on most Medicare Advantage plans, certainly the ones that I'm selling in my area, the prescription card is included in the Medicare Advantage plan. So looking at these Medicare Advantage plans, these plans are really evolving. A lot of these plans now have things such as dental, vision, hearing built into them. You can have health clubs built into them. Get on that health club. Go to the health club and stand on a treadmill. Meet somebody. Go out and have a cup of coffee. Enjoy life. And they also have built into them, a lot of them, over-the-counter benefits where you can go online and buy toothpaste and all kinds of health wellness benefits. Or some of them you can even go into the CVS or Walgreens pharmacy and buy them right there. Check with your plan to make sure you know how to do that. So those are kind of some cool things that are built into these Medicare Advantage plans. But now, on these plans, I'm not really expecting premiums to change all that much. But the maximum out-of-pocket. That's going to go up a good bit here. I'm looking at like maybe $1,000. So for those of you who are saving money, save another $1,000 to cover those maximum out-of-pockets in network. The out-of-network maximum out-of-pockets, whoa, through the roof. Guys, if you're going to buy this plan because you're going to be out-of-network, you shouldn't buy the plan, period. Okay? And lastly, I was at a meeting this week on these Medicare Advantage plans. They told us that it was 1.8% of people meet their maximum out-of-pocket. That is a huge, tiny, itty-bitty number, okay? It's huge in the fact that maybe you don't have to be worried about meeting your maximum out-of-pocket, which is why it's a tiny, itty-bitty number. So another thing with Medicare Advantage plans is managed care. These plans are really big on getting you to have your care managed, which means things like pre-authorization. Don't be afraid of pre-authorization. You know, I'll typically say people who are maybe 72 and under, people who have just left their employer, they're accustomed to pre-authorization. This is normal to them. And me. For those of you who are older, you know, who've been on a Medicare supplement, for example, you're not accustomed to pre-authorization. You don't like that. But pre-authorization happens no matter what. So let me slide over here. Here, I'm in the middle of the screen, right? So here's a Medicare Advantage plan. Here's a Medicare supplement. But you meet in the middle, all right? You meet in the middle. This is pre-authorization. So with the Medicare Advantage plan, it happens before the fact. With the Medicare supplement, it could have to happen after the fact, after you get your claims, but you meet in the middle. It's always required by Medicare. The government wants to have, by the end of this open enrollment season, over 60% of people on a Medicare Advantage plan. There's a lot of reasons for it. One of the simple reasons is that the insurance companies do a far better job of paying claims than Medicare does. But is that in your best interest? Well, who knows? Your situation is very different. You have a different set of doctors than the person next to you. You have a different set of medications than the person next to you. And your friend may be here and you may be there. You may be a snowbird and all. Oh, it's just all kind of crazy. How do you figure it out? Well, here's a good way. On the bottom here, give me a call. We'll look at your specific situation to find out specifically what is in your best interest. Forget about Crazy Joe on TV. Forget about JJ and Mike and all these people. Don't talk to those telemarketers who call you, because those people are just interested in selling you a specific product, not what's in your best situation, okay? That's why give me a call. If you don't want to talk to me, then please call another insurance agent and talk to somebody who will have your best interest at heart. Hey Mark, what's going on at the MLD agency? Well, you know, this week we're saving a group about $4,000 a month on their health insurance. That's a huge amount of money, right? The other thing is that we were able to work with a client who had terrible insurance with another insurance company, terrible for their situation. As I told them, you are paying a premium, but when rubber meets the road, if there's a serious claim, you really don't have insurance. So we were able to save them about $1,000 and get them appropriate liability insurance where they really need it. That's what's going on at the MLD agency.